questions are people typing into Google,
Yeah.
what's frequently asked. Using that is also a great starting point for research, because you could write the best article in the world, but if no one's interested in it, you know no one's going to see it. So you need to make sure you're tailoring it to what people are actually searching for.
Hey everyone, I'm Madison Bacala. Welcome to our interview series Behind the Byline, where we get a glimpse behind the curtain at the fantastic writers who contribute to our team. Joining me today is Rosie Greaves. Welcome, Rosie. Let's
Hello.
kick things up. All right, first question for you. What got you into the world of content marketing?
Well, years ago, I've been a freelance content writer now for over 8 years. But when I first sort of got into digital marketing, I worked as an events coordinator and content coordinator as well. And they put me on to doing their blog content, and I fell in love with it. And then the needs of the business changed, and I had to work on something else. And I was really surprised as to how gutted I was that I couldn't write anymore. So I went home and I bought a couple of online courses, worked out how to become a freelance writer, and then got up and running within about 6 months-ish. And then, I've never looked back.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. 6 months is
Yeah,
pretty
it
quick
was
too.
fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was just something like I'd never felt so passionate about, I, studied law at university beforehand, fell into sort of events management and digital marketing, and all of those things I was really interested in, and I loved, but
Yeah.
wasn't until I found sort of freelance writing that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Nice. Oh, I love when you kind of find your niche.
Yeah, it was good.
So I'm curious, what tools and techniques do you use to conduct research and gather insights about the topic that you're writing about?
Well, there's so much information out there, so trying to decipher the wood through the trees, as to what's accurate, what isn't, etc. So always heading straight to sort of very high quality sources. And then if the deadline allows for, backing that up with people who, live and breathe the space. So heading to somewhere like Quoted, where you can sort of connect with professionals and get their insights and quotes to sort of enhance your piece. That's a really valuable tool. Then obviously your own professional network, because over time you sort of build up, relationships with other people in the space, and I find that immensely useful.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious if you have any go-to resources like websites, periodicals, whatever that you always tap because you know they'll be like an expert in.
You can't go wrong with Gartner,
Yeah.
because they produce such good work to use across a variety of different industries. Same with Statistica, that's always a great start. So if you're not really sure, if you're looking for a hook, trying to get an idea of like the industry, like and going from there, that's helpful. But obviously things like SEO tools as well, where you can find out what questions are people typing into Google,
Yeah.
what's frequently asked. Using that is also a great starting point for research, because you could write the best article in the world, but if no one's interested in it, you know no one's going to see it. So you need to make sure you're tailoring it to what people are actually searching for.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. Okay, so I'm wondering, how do you stay updated with the latest trends and developments in all of the industries that you work with? Because I know there's a lot.
LinkedIn is amazing. So I have a lot of really decent connections on LinkedIn who are frequently posting sort of thought leadership content. So I like to sort of, in between my articles, when I've got the time, to browse and see what people are commenting on. Is there a particular topic that's being talked about more within my network? And then going away and doing more research into it, and you soon see what's resonating and what isn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, this is a two-part question. Do you write for yourself? And if you do, what draws you to a specific topic?
I haven't written for myself for a long time, because I've been in a fortunate position where I've just been too busy with client work. But as and when I do get to write for myself, I love to learn. It's such a nerdy thing to say, but I really love learning new topics. So if I find something, in an industry say, for example, ChatGPT and AI has obviously been huge in the last year, going and really digging deep into the mechanics of that, or, the ethical implications of that, and sort of all the subtopics that come off something quite broad. Yeah, just digging into that and sort of seeing what other people are looking for so that you can carry on and, contribute to the conversation, so that when you eventually get asked to write about it by a client, you're not left, oh, okay, we've got to start from scratch. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a process.
Nice. How do you balance your personal and your professional life?
I try really hard to work a 9 to 5. So I have like work hours and then sort of, regular hours, as it were. And I find trying to get that structure helps balance like work and life. But
Mm.
obviously, deadlines don't always allow for that. So I have a general rule that I'll allow myself to work really early or really late, sort of 2 days a week, just so that it doesn't become the norm. Because as a freelancer, you could just so easily make work your whole life, because
Yeah.
no one wants to turn down work. But yeah, no, just trying to be strict about hours is usually the best way to go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I work remotely as well. I've been trying to figure out a way to like bookend the day, like whether it's some kind of ritual or routine or something to like clearly, mark when I'm starting work and when I'm ending so that.
Yeah, one of my freelancing friends actually said to me that what she does is, instead of just closing the laptop, she actually shuts it down properly, as in like
Mm.
completely powers it off. And she says that that really helps her sort of mark like switching on the laptop,
Yeah,
start the day, switching it off, end of day, sort of like to mentally bring work to a close.
that's smart. That's probably really good for your laptop too. I should
Yeah,
start doing
that's what
that.
she said. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, nice. I'll have to keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to ask you a few personal questions if that's cool.
Okay.
Um, I think you had a pre-interview with Peter, and you mentioned that you took on the challenging task of writing a brand book for an AI startup. Can
Mm.
you walk us through how you took on this challenge and any big takeaways that you got from the experience?
That's one of the biggest projects I've done to date, actually, because it went
Mm.
on for such a long time. I still work for this company now, 2 days a week, as a freelancer. I was invited to go up to London to help with some branding workshops, and so we did all sorts of like word clouds, tone of voice, values, all the sorts of things that you'd expect to find in a brand document, brand archetypes. I mean, you name it, you really starting from the ground up. And it was really cool to work with a startup who was so invested in like getting their branding right from the get-go. Because so often
Mm.
as like content writers, you come in sort of 3, 4, 5 years down the line, they're already established, and you're just sort of like hitting the ground running. So to be able to
Mhm.
sort of be part of that was really cool, and to get to grips with sort of like traditional branding strategies as well, because as content writers you often get the opportunity to write about them, and you might do like bits of a style guide. So like, for example, I've worked on tone of voice before, and I've worked on brand archetypes before, but it's very, very rare that you get the chance to do it all, and to do it all in one go for one company.
Mm.
So there's a little bit of learning on the job, while sort of piecing together like previous experience. But yes, that would be something I'd love to do again.
That's cool. I'm sure there's a ton of creativity that goes into that as well. And
Yeah, yeah. And like conversations as well. So like you go in with like preconceptions. I mean, I've been working in like the SaaS industry now for years, and I still have preconceptions about what I think, brands in that space are going to want. And you go in
mm,
there and you'll be really surprised just to sort of like how approachable they want to be, or how do they want to use humor, and sorts of, you'd assume no, but that isn't always the case, and that was like quite interesting as well.
nice, nice, very exciting. Okay, so in your career, you have written a lot for SaaS, like you mentioned.
Mm.
Is there any new software that has come across your desk that you were excited to write about or that you saw as a game changer for the industries that you work in?
Well, ChatGPT is obviously like such a buzz. I mean, and I was a bit late to the party, because I think as so many freelancers were, they saw ChatGPT and was like, oh my goodness, that's the end.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yes.
And I, for a good year, I really was just, I wouldn't go near it because I didn't want to support it. I mean, as if I single-handedly was going to stop ChatGPT from like becoming what it was. But yes, once I embraced it and started researching it and working out how to use it properly and how to work with it, not against it, that was a game changer. My only regret was not using it sooner, just to get ideas more than anything. I don't think anyone should ever use ChatGPT to write a full blog post, because anyone will tell you that, that's not going to get you anywhere. But in terms of like, especially long form content in digital marketing, if you're getting it some, word counts of 4, 5, 6,000 words, trying to keep coming up with fresh ideas, and new takes on that. ChatGPT is a great starting point just for brainstorming, more than anything.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you use it as like a helping hand as opposed to a crutch, like you're kind of in the same, you're in the right right area, I guess. Okay, final question for you for this little section. What are your future goals or aspirations as a content writer and strategist?
Honestly, just to carry on doing what I'm doing. I'm very, very lucky to have been able to have been a freelancer for over 8 years. And like I said, with the rise of AI, I didn't, there's a point where I just didn't know whether or not that was even going to be an option. I'm pleased to say there definitely is still an option, and it's made me more grateful than ever to be able to do what I do. So just to continue working with clients, classes like higher caliber, big names, big brands, to carry on just sort of trying new niches and deepening my knowledge in the niches that I've already got experience in, really. So yeah, just to carry on.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll be back with more interviews with these dynamic writers and industry leaders. To learn more about our amazing content strategists, visit clearvoice.com.